Shalom and a very good day to you. I am Richard Peritz, and our program today is about the press and its responsibility to help inform the public and contribute to a climate of understanding in our somewhat troubled world, and also address people's cultural needs too. Our guest is the energetic publisher of the Miami Jewish Tribune, Mr. Barbanel, who will share his views on these subjects. But first, we have our video report from Israel right after these messages.
It's funny how people make friends in Israel. It happens all the time. Like Betsy called and her husband, who came from New Jersey shopping. She wanted something new for her living room. So we talked. I gave her something better than new. I gave her all.
Government regulations say we can make our Hebrew national beef hot dogs from frozen beef. We don't. The government says we can use artificial coloring. We don't. They say we can add meat byproducts. We don't. They say we can add non-meat fillers. We can't. We're kosher and have to answer to an even higher authority.
I sweated 42 years in the garment district to get here. Now I'm here to stay. Got my painting, I've got my pal, I've got a great life. I don't intend to lose it. With the Gold Plus plan, illness won't tear down everything I worked a lifetime building up.
Let the Gold Plus plan pay your doctor and hospital bills in full at no cost to you. Call now, 1-800-442-5555. Keep what you have with the Gold Plus plan.
Empire Kosher is premium poultry and turkeys, the freshest, fresh products. Succulent pre-cooked chickens and turkeys in barbecue sauce, delicious roasters and pullets, chicken and turkey patties, chicken cutlets, fried chicken, rock Cornish, pot pies, deli items, turkey rolls, chopped liver, gourmets, and even ducks. As we said, Empire Kosher is premium poultry and turkeys in 100 heavenly ways.
We take you under our wing in Israel with El Al's own milk and honey vacations. There's never been a more attractive or better opportunity to experience the Holy Land, from historic sites and tourist attractions to modern Israel's astonishing accomplishments. See it all with superior deluxe or super deluxe accommodations. Old-fashioned courtesy and jet age efficiency provided by El Al, the airline of Israel, the airline people believe in. Now is the time for you to come with us to Israel, so please call your travel agent or El Al today.
We're in Safed, one of Israel's oldest and most mystical cities, located some 25 miles from the Lebanese border. Safed used to be a dancing town 5 centuries ago, and today that tradition has been revived through the successful Safed dance troupe. Choreographer Sefi Aviv has spent the last 7 years promoting dance and recruiting dancers in Safed. The attempt to get Safed dancing is all part of Project Renewal, a philanthropic scheme to rehabilitate Israel's disadvantaged neighborhoods. Many of the members of the dance troupe come from this low-income area, Safed's Knan neighborhood. Most of the population is made up of immigrants from North Africa and Arab countries, people with large families living in crowded conditions. 18-year-old Shimon Ben Arush is a typical member of the group. He says he first went along to Sefi's dance class just to disrupt it.
When I was 12 years old, something like this, I went to the community center and I made a lot of trouble to our director, Sefi. And one time he catch me and told me to come to dance. I didn't take it so serious. So I came, and I like it.
It's no accident that a lot of the dance troupe's repertoire comes from traditional Hasidic and religious dances. Back in the 16th century, Safed was a center of Kabbalah, Jewish religious mysticism. The influence can still be seen in the city today. The graves of the old mystical rabbis are in full view in the city and are regularly visited. One section of the city looks much the same way it did hundreds of years ago. Project Renewal is devoted not just to dancing, but provides many activities for the people of Safed. They've even got a partner in the US, New Jersey. A network of 3 community centers in the city is dedicated to developing the talents of Safed's youth. Local coaches spend hours developing a first-class basketball team. Above all, they start the kids dancing at a young age in Safed, and Sefi's dance group is the town's pride and joy. Now, when Sefi goes recruiting for new members, the response is overwhelming. For these kids, the best part of the dancing has been the troupe's international tours. They've represented Israel performing at dance festivals throughout Europe, and soon they hope to visit the United States. They've got a varied repertoire, and the success of the dance troupe has inspired Safed.
As I mentioned before, with us in the studio is Mr. Howard Barbanel, publisher of the Jewish Tribune of Miami, or Miami Jewish Tribune.
Miami Jewish Tribune.
It's a pleasure to have you on the Shalom
Nice
Show.
having you. Nice being
Howard,
here, I should say.
we just saw this segment on the city of Tzfat, Safed in Israel, famous, I would say, mainly due to the many famous rabbis throughout the ages that lived there. And I was just thinking that rabbis actually are the teachers of old, and information back then was conveyed primarily in this fashion, from teacher to student. And today we have television, we have newspapers. Tell us a little as to how you see the responsibility of the press in our world today.
Well, I think that the press has a very heavy responsibility in the sense that people live very busy lives, and very often they come for a very quick fix of the news. And the Jewish community is no exception, being involved very much in the mainstream of American life. For many Jewish people, in fact, a recent study revealed that their Jewish newspaper or Jewish television show, or Jewish media in general, is their main means of identification Jewishly, as opposed to organizations or synagogues or other such things that took place in the past. So therefore, if a Jewish individual is going to tune into this show or read a newspaper, they may only be exposed to an hour or 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of Jewish information for that week. And it's very critical that that information be as accurate and authoritative and objective as it possibly can be.
It's interesting, isn't it, that people's main source of information, whether it is the Jewish community or others, really does emanate from mass media, television, newspapers and so forth. And constantly the question arises as to how accurate reporting is, whether there are sometimes slants in this media or that, in this country or that, and of course the question of misrepresentation. What comes to mind is the situation of the war in Lebanon, and how it has been said that media has lied by omission, by over-emphasizing certain aspects and omitting, conveniently perhaps, omitting or maybe unintentionally omitting others, which did give the viewer or reader a false impression as to the true circumstances. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I think that an interesting example of this is what has been going on recently in the so-called Palestinian Arab refugee camps outside of Beirut, in the sense that these camps have been under siege by these various Shiite Amal militia, to the point where the media reported that Palestinian Arabs were eating cats, dogs, mice, etc. And the interesting thing is that for months this has been going on, since November, and of course it's been in the back pages. It's hardly merited 10 seconds worth of coverage on the network news reports until very, very recently. And yet whenever Israel is involved...
4 months, they say.
Yes,
people
4
have been
months.
locked there for 4 months.
That's correct.
It hasn't been terribly newsworthy. But if the Israelis
Yes.
would encircle a refugee camp,
Page
that's interesting.
That's right. And these are Arabs doing it to these are Arabs doing this to other Arabs, and that gets in the back pages. In fact, I was reading a report that said that when the Jordanians arrest 20 Palestinians on charges of terrorism, that doesn't get any news coverage at all. But if the Israelis happen to intercept terrorists and put them in jail, that's page 1 news again.
Well, who makes these decisions, in your opinion? Why is it decided that that is newsworthy and the other not?
I think that a lot of it is part of what's known as the gatekeeping function in journalism. Editors generally are a very intellectual group, by and large are a very liberal group. But even in conservative publications such as the Wall Street Journal, you'll find the same focus on the news coverage. I think the reason for that, as Thomas Friedman wrote an article in the Sunday New York Times magazine a few weeks ago, in which he asked why this focus on Israel. And he basically came up with that the Western world, which is predominantly a Christian world, is so heavily tied in and so heavily identifies with the Bible, with the Holy Land, with the whole Jewish mystique, as the Jewish patriarchs being their forebears, and Moses being integral to their religion, and so on, and the Bible study being so important that they feel that they can relate to places like Bethlehem, and they do relate to places like Jericho and things like that, and that causes their intense interest in the land. That has theological ramifications. Even if a great many Christians are not very religious themselves, there's still that subconscious theological or religious identification with the Holy Land, with Israel, and that causes that special focus. I would say also, to add to that, that the Western world, meaning the Christian world, has been very closely intertwined with the Jewish one for the past 2,000 years of the Jewish diaspora, and so this has not abated in any way.
Well, I think misrepresentation does contribute to a pathological hate, which is totally unjustified, of course. For instance, I was just thinking the other day, this alleged criminal, Ivan Boesky, or whatever his name is, the Wall Street insider, you know, there are many other individuals in the world who commit crimes, yet an article in some New York newspaper mentioned 4 times that he was Jewish or involved with this or that Jewish organization. And I wonder why it was so necessary to keep repeating that more than one time, you know.
Well, it's interesting. I think if the person perhaps was Italian or Irish, that wouldn't be a factor at all. I think it's because much in the way Israel is scrutinized by the international media, Jewish people as a whole are subject to that same scrutiny, and maybe it's because of the concept of the chosen people, which of course is very misunderstood. But that whole concept of that we brought forth what is today the Judeo-Christian ethic, what is the commonly accepted standards of Western civilization, that people tend to delight in catching a Jewish person doing some sort of mischief. I think Theodor Herzl said that what would be a normal situation for the Jewish people finally, or the normalization of the Jewish people, would be when there are Jewish criminals and Jewish policemen who arrest them and throw them into Jewish prisons, in the sense of trying to be like other people. There are just as many good Jews as there are good Gentiles and Jews who commit crimes,
of course,
and
yes.
such.
I think that was very well said, if you don't mind my saying so. But let's get back to the thought of incitement for a moment. Mass media, television, movies, newspapers are really have a responsibility in this troubled world, in my opinion, to enlighten and bridge gaps and create understanding. We are, after all members of the human family, and we have to coexist in this delicate, fragile, beautiful planet. There, a thought arises that mass media can really whip up a frenzy of hate, and I was just thinking again that this overemphasis on Israeli so-called misdeeds, while other misdeeds in the world are ignored, or misdeeds against Israel are underplayed. I was also thinking of the question of incitement that is now rather interesting with this TV series America that has just aired a little while ago. And there have been questions that whereas on one hand it's good entertainment, on the other, is it really good to whip up a paranoia of hate against a so-called potential enemy who is not yet an enemy, and God forbid should never really be in a war with us, because that would really be the end of our civilization. What are your thoughts on that responsibility?
Well, I think that we take the view at my newspaper that the reader is far more intelligent than some other publications may give them credit for. And it's the same as television viewers. I think that the viewer is basically, in America at least, able to discern between make-believe and reality. I think that, that again, the reader is capable of forming their own opinions if the news is presented objectively. However, when the news is presented in a subjective manner, in an opinionated manner, sometimes it panders to ingrained or subliminal or long-standing subconscious hatreds. The idea of the Christ killer, for example, which of course even the Vatican has disavowed, and various other libels and stigmas and things that have come down through the ages that sometimes creep into people's subconscious, or they learned it in Sunday school or whatever the case may be, that if they hear a negative report or they see a negative story, could tend to foment these opinions or bring out these subconscious opinions. But I, by and large, think that American people, I'm just speaking of America now, that American people tend to judge a story, tend to judge an issue by its merits. And I think that, as with Israel's invasion of Lebanon some years ago, that American opinion has shifted to the point where most Americans, I believe, would feel that Israel's action was justified, and they should have let Israel finish the job instead of dragging the United States into that quagmire, which has had very deleterious effects. And I think there's, of course there's incitement on the left and there's incitement on the right. There's a new film out now called Death Before Dishonor. I don't know if you've seen the previews to this, and in which this Marine sergeant in an Islamic country which is unnamed, a mythical Islamic country, his embassy is overrun and everyone is killed, the ambassador is killed and everything, and he decides to take it into his own hands, single-handedly, Rambo fashion, destroys the whole country in defense of the Stars and Stripes. Now, of course, this could also be construed as right-wing pandering, but on the other hand, it could be a catharsis. It could be something that lets off a lot of steam for Americans, as Rambo tends to do. And the TV show America, for that matter, could also be a catharsis in the sense that it lets people imagine their worst fantasies, much as in the way any science fiction would. And so people get to see a horror story, a fantasy, and it tends to dissipate some of the steam that might ordinarily be translated into action.
Howard, I do agree and understand with what you're saying, but I was just thinking of a pact that I think was made between the United States, Great Britain, and Russia during or after the war, in which, among other things, it was mentioned and spoken of that Nazi Germany did a very sinister thing. They created movies, incitement movies, showing fictitious individuals looking like Jewish people committing awful acts with other individuals, with German women. And the purpose of these movies was simply to whip up the German people into an insane hatred, which tragically developed into what it did. We all know, the Holocaust and so forth. And my thought is that we should not forget that mass media does have the power to create irrational hate and misconceptions, and we have to be very aware of these things. I think we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Stay on top of the latest news in the Broward Jewish community. Read the Jewish Journal. For more information or advertising, please call 563-3200.
Are you tired of all the hard work to clean your home? Tel Aviv Home Cleaning Service will do what you want the way you want it. All our maids are carefully selected and will do a most efficient job at the lowest price in town. For top quality service, don't delay. Call Tel Aviv today. Call 748-6400, 963-7700, or 394-6699.
Barnett Bank presents the good news and the bad news. First, the bad news.
The U.S. government says you can't deduct the interest on most consumer loans anymore.
But you can deduct the interest when you borrow against the equity in your home. Isn't that nice?
Sure, but you have to pay the closing costs all over again.
Ah, but the good news is Barnett Bank will pay the closing costs for you.
Well, I didn't go to Barnett.
Ooh, that is bad news.
Barnett Bank. We pay the closing costs. You deduct the interest.
It's here. It's now. It's the newspaper as vibrant as the community it serves. It's the Miami Jewish Tribune, the new Jewish voice of Greater Miami.
You can receive home delivery. 52 exciting, colorful issues for just $9. 2 years is only $18. Order by phone. I'm so confident you'll love my newspaper that if you're not satisfied for whatever reason, I'll refund your money.
The Miami Jewish Tribune, Miami's new Jewish voice.
Most banks expect your needs to fit their services. At Commonwealth Savings, we fit our services to your needs, and we'll go out of our way to do it. We'll alter our rates or terms on CDs and money market accounts. We'll suit you with interest-bearing checking and savings accounts to give you room to grow, and with low-interest loans that won't bind or pinch. So for a custom fit on financial services, come to Commonwealth. We go out of our way on your account.
Sultan & Sons takes you behind the scenes.
Ever wonder how draperies are made? Watch this.
These draperies are ready and waiting to be installed.
Sultan & Sons has been doing this for over 61 years.
Call today for your free shop-at-home appointment.
We're behind you at Sultan & Sons.
That little old drapery maker, me.
We're back in the studio with Mr. Howard Barbanel, publisher of the Miami Jewish Times. Howard, what are the responsibilities and aspirations of a good Jewish newspaper?
Well, a good Jewish newspaper should be covering the news from a relentlessly local perspective. What's happening at a synagogue in North Miami Beach or a Hadassah chapter in Kendall, I think, is every bit as vital as some news that takes place in Tel Aviv or Bat Yam or Jerusalem. It affects people's lives locally, and people live in their neighborhoods. And in terms of the international Jewish scene, it's presenting a clear, concise, unbiased, untainted objective that's designed to let the reader understand what is happening overseas in the Jewish community, whether it's the Soviet Union, whether it's Syria, whether it's the Middle East, Israel, whatever, what have you, to understand the facts, the truth as it really exists, and be able to make their own opinions, and hopefully that the truth and these facts will help in their support of Israel, in their involvement in Jewish life, in Jewish causes, in Jewish philanthropic causes, helping other Jews.
And what are the challenges facing your particular new newspaper?
Well, I think that the challenge with any new newspaper is to attract enough readers, of course, to attract advertisers, and to build a loyal readership, which is a time-consuming process, and to produce the kind of quality editorial product that will engender that kind of loyal readership.
How do we have 2 more minutes? I'd like to ask you to summarize by giving us your views as to how you see the significance and importance of Israel in the eyes of the local United States Jewish community.
I think that the average Jewish person sees Israel as an extension of their own Jewishness. They identify with it vicariously, whether it's through a military victory or a social, cultural happening, or whether it's Prime Minister Shamir visiting the United States. And I think most American Jews feel very warm attachment. It's like having relatives living abroad. I think everyone feels a certain amount of closeness to Israel. And certainly they should. It is the Jewish homeland, it is the Jewish state, and it does represent the culmination of thousands of years' worth of worship, prayer, hopes, dreams, desires, and it is the physical manifestation of really the beginning of a giant period of redemption and greatness for the Jewish people. And so as such, I think Jews identify with that because Israel is a winner, and people like to be associated with winning things, especially winning Jewish things, which is new in the last 40 years. And we'd like to reflect that in our newspaper with a very positive, upbeat, good news type attitude, showing what's good about Jewish life here, what's good about Jewish life in Israel and around the world. And I think people want to read good news, they want to hear good things, and being Jewish is a good thing. And people want to be a part of that and identify with that and hear about other good things that are happening to other Jews.
Well, Howard, I want to wish you the very best. It's been a pleasure to have you on the Shalom Show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
After 56 years, Harry Rich is changing the way Florida buys carpet. Harry Rich has gone discount. We've replaced these old-fashioned swatches with rolls of carpet from our warehouse. So now you can select right from stock. Get low discount prices. Have your carpet installed immediately. Harry Rich has gone discount. See for yourself. Our prices will floor you.
Harry Rich, Harry Rich, Harry Rich will floor you.
Empire Kosher is premium poultry and turkeys, the freshest, fresh products. Succulent pre-cooked chickens and turkeys in barbecue sauce, delicious roasters and pullets, chicken and turkey patties, chicken cutlets, fried chicken, rock Cornish, pot pies, deli items, turkey rolls, chopped liver, gourmets, and even ducks. As we said, Empire Kosher is premium poultry and turkeys in 100 heavenly ways.
We've worked real hard for 40 years. This is the payoff. Jim loves his golf, I love my garden, and we both love being just the two of us again. It's a great life. We don't intend to lose it. With the Gold Plus plan, illness won't wipe out everything we worked a lifetime for.
Let the Gold Plus plan pay your doctor and hospital bills in full at no cost to you. Call now, 1-800-442-5555. Keep what you have with the Gold Plus plan.
King's record-breaking 1,000 Toyota sale is making headlines. Save thousands on 1,000 new cars and trucks. 87 Toyota pickups, $59.80. 87 Tercels, $59.25. And no payments till February on 1,000 Toyotas. Hurry to King Toyota, Deerfield Beach, before the record-breaking 1,000 Toyota sale is yesterday's news.
Publix Deli presents entertaining.
Sure is nice. So is chicken and spice hors d'oeuvres. Friends love to be served our roast beef, and crab claws are a feast. For entertaining, choose cheese, lots of varieties, deluxe ham, food that's really grand, salads galore, pickled relish and more. For entertaining.
The Deli, one of the little things that make shopping at Publix such a pleasure.
Almost a century ago, Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "Put not your trust in money, but put your money in trust." And when it comes to investing your money, nobody does it better than Comvest Securities, the discount brokerage subsidiary of Commonwealth Savings and Loan, offering mutual funds, tax-free bonds, Ginnie Maes, U.S. government securities funds, and savings to 70% on stock commissions. For your free investment kit, call 1-800-432-3180. Remember, a smart investor is a Comvestor.
This brings us to the end of our show for today, but we shall be back next week as usual. So have a lovely day and thank you for being with us.